All right, everybody. So, fun fact, we were going to go dungeon delving today, but the GM didn't bring a map or any sort of reference point for the dungeon, and it's such wibbly wobbly timey-wimey bullshit that everybody got mad. And at this point, I'm the one who flipped the table because I could have swore there was a door there, and then we turned back around and there was no door, and the DM looked at me straight in the face and said this wasn't a weird mind game. So I guess session's canceled.
Is this a reference I'm not understanding?
It is a horror story I read once.
Interesting. I don't, no comprende, no hablo español.
It's fine.
Lo siento.
Lo siento just means I'm sorry.
Oh, that actually works. I'll take it.
Oh my god. All right, well, that awful cold open aside, welcome back everyone to the Sessions Canceled podcast, where we got shouted out on a Wired interview. That was kind of cool.
We got, I mean, not shouted out, but our one of our tweets was referenced on one of those Wired tech support videos, but it was D&D support with Brandon Lee Mulligan. And I'm not gonna lie, I saw it, and the only thing I thought about was, God damn it, I hate that I typoed that tweet. And now that that's just in the world that I have a typo in that tweet, God, I'm gonna kill myself. So.
Oh, I love that. So I was on my way to drop my car off at the auto body, and I was listening to the video, and Brendan was like, this post comes from Sessions Canceled, and I was like, oh, that's such a coincidence. And it's like, why is it always taverns? And I just I straight up stomped on the brake and was like, wait a minute. I was there when Josh made that tweet.
Yep.
And in fucking middle of traffic, don't do this, by the way. I had to fucking rewind the video, and I'm just staring at it. Like,
yep, there it is. There it is.
That was so cool.
Although, side note, I do. It bothers me slightly because the tweet wasn't actually like a question, really, right? It was a reference to the clip, and they were like, Brendan Lee Mulligan was like, I think one of the main reasons is because of the prancing pony scene in Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, we definitely talked about that.
We definitely brought it up.
It's in the video. Yeah. We definitely brought that up. We know about that. We know.
Yep.
So I was slightly offended because I was like, I felt like my nerd cred was being a little bit insulted.
A little bit. It's funny too because it's like, obviously you can't expect him to have watched the clip.
No, but
it's literally in the clip right that we were tweeting about.
It's right there.
It's like doing your homework and having it graded, and then the tutor was like, did you try X, Y, and Z? And then you look at your answers and it's the exact same equation.
Yes. You're like,
you
yes.
just have to sit there
yes, I did.
Malding.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my god, it's so good. It's very cool. Big ups.
It is kind of weird though, because it has taught me that for those Wired videos, they just source things from the internet randomly. I, for some reason, was under the impression that those questions were submitted. That's
what I thought too.
Evidently they're not, because we didn't submit shit.
We did not submit shit. We're very happy that we were there, but we didn't submit a goddamn thing.
Yeah, we're not going to complain about it, but it definitely didn't submit it. Anyway,
so crazy.
I'm not gonna. I was about to tangent really.
Oh, I mean, look, bud, you might as well. This whole episode, these are one of those episodes, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where we just got some shit to say, and there's not gonna be much rhyme or reason to it, I don't think. We're just here to talk shit.
Okay, I'm just gonna say very briefly without explaining, I've been watching that show. I've been putting the show Forged in Fire on at work.
I'm so proud of you.
God damn, do I just love watching these dudes stab random shit with cool knives.
Dude,
why is it so entertaining?
Fair. It really is. So, you might know this. The audience probably doesn't know this. I spent time as a blacksmith.
Yes.
And not a lot of time, about a month, but it was really funny because one of the things that me and the other blacksmith I was working with, we tried doing pattern forged Damascus.
Yeah.
It's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
And like with good tools, with like the power hammer and the press and as much borax as you could physically have, that shit is difficult as fuck. We had a coal furnace And they were like, I think I'm really gonna get some pattern forged Damascus out on this billet. I know it's difficult, but I've done it before. I'm like, dog, you got 3 hours. Don't do it. You're gonna spend 2 hours trying to get that fucking weld to hold, and it's not, and you're gonna get crazy DLAM in the middle of the test. I guarantee you it's what's gonna happen. And then crazy, you get massive DLAM and a critical failure. And I'm just there like, shouldn't have done it. I knew that Borax wasn't gonna hold.
I feel that.
And then,
you ever seen, Drink Masters is a thing on Netflix?
Yes.
The very first episode, a dude uses dry ice. And you're like, brother, no. Brother, no. And the judges literally refuse to try his drink because it's a health hazard.
Yeah, nah.
They're like, we could die, so no.
Yeah, that dry ice shit, like, you have to use that in fucking such minuscule proportions. Like,
well, no, even if you use it in a minuscule proportion, it could still burn your esophagus. You have to use it in some sort of fashion that you can guarantee the ice is going to sit in the bottom.
Yeah.
Which there is a couple of ways to do it. I think he did say he used a technique so that it would stay on the bottom, but I don't think the judges trusted him enough. This was also the first episode, so like this was everyone fresh. So
yeah, I mean, here's some random Yahoo who joined the show. No, I'm gonna be honest. If someone offered me dry ice and drink and I didn't know them, I wouldn't like.
Yeah, no,
even
you're
if
not
it was at a
change
restaurant, I'd be like, nah.
There are cups that they designed specifically for that purpose. You like seal the bottom with like a plastic thing or whatever. But yeah. None of this has anything to do with anything. But if you enjoy our random bantering, hit the follow or subscribe button.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get plenty of that today. Actually, on the topic of drinks, I think it's really funny because at this point, I'm not a bartender. I do study mixology as a hobby, and
I get paid to do it, sort of.
You do get paid to do it, sort of.
Not the mixology part so much, but
yeah. And it's really funny. Like, I hear, because I watch videos on mixology, and I always find joy in the like customer submitted ones.
Yeah.
And those always cause me psychic damage to no end.
Yeah.
And, not that this was a thing that was submitted, but something that you talked about where it's like, yes, some guy wanted me to float a New York sour with no egg white.
Oh, with the no egg white. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like,
yeah.
Can you do it? No. Should you ask your fucking bartender to do that? No. Don't be an asshole.
Rephrase. Is it possible? Yes. Should you ask someone to do it that way? No, fuck you.
Yeah, no, it's possible. It's just such a pain in the dick.
It's a huge pain in the dick.
Or like, don't be that asshole who's like, do you fancy yourself a good pondo? Can you make me a pousse cafe? And it's like, I'm not making you a fucking layered drink on a Tuesday or like on a Friday night, dog. I'm not doing it. I'm back in on like a Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'll layer that bitch up for you nice and good.
Yeah, come in on Monday when you're the only person sitting here.
Yeah.
You can watch me wank off or whatever.
That being said, all that notwithstanding, I know that I've made statements in the past where it's like, God, I really don't like it when we do a bunch of D&D update episodes, but we're doing a D&D update episode. Fucking massive spoilers.
Because I don't remember you ever actually saying that, I'm gonna be honest.
I may not have said it on air, but like we've definitely talked about it and I've felt it. I think the audience has felt it too.
I don't know. People like hearing about D&D. It's the biggest role-playing game, much to my chagrin.
Yes, it is. I just like every we had a couple weeks where it was like every week it was a new fucking update to 5e, and I was like, God, I hope people don't hate this.
Well, that was when the 2024 stuff was rolling around, so.
Yes, true.
There was a reason.
There was. And there's a reason why I'm talking about this today, because we're going to be talking about motherfucking Artificer, baby.
Because we're mad about it. I'm mad about it.
I'm fair enough.
Maybe mad's not the right word. Disappointed.
Look, okay. I mean, so... Yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed in it too. There's a bunch of cool stuff we could have gotten. I wanted Arcane Mechanist back, frankly, but it's fine. Basic stuff that we might as well just kind of get it over with. Minor tweaks to the class in general. We're just going to run through them real quick. They've renamed Magical Tinkering to Tinker's Magic. It lets your still quite shitty items that you can summon last until a long rest. Thank God. I can use that useless fucking rolling pin for 8 whole hours now. Awesome.
Yeah, the magical tinkering thing, like, again, on one hand, I understand. The way the ability worked before was kind of kludgy and noodly and annoying, so I get it. But the way it works now, it's just like kind of useless.
It's trash, bro. It's not a good ability. I really don't want to do this. Like, I don't like it. Contrary to my belief, I don't like being this guy. But
yeah,
but this like desire to hyper simplify things and make it the most easy to understand, most impossible to argue with, it doesn't work. You're taking away all of the like, you're making the magic less magic.
Well, simplify doesn't have to mean. Okay. So simplifying doesn't have to mean that you shrink the word count and make the description like. I guess you do kind of have to shrink the word count, quote unquote. But what I'm saying is the description does not have to be so tight and so specific for something to be simple. You can have something that's simple but quite open-ended and evocative, but 5e just doesn't operate on that wavelength. So the thing about this ability, right? So I'm just gonna read how this ability works now, because fuck it. You know the mending cantrip. LOL, Lamau, you didn't have that before. As a magic action, while holding Tinkerer's tools, you can create one item in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of yourself. Choose the item from the following list, and it's a bunch of shit from the player's handbook. It's like ball bearings and a bedroll and a pole and a pouch and a rope and a sack and a shovel, yada, whatever. See the rules for the items in the player's handbook. The item lasts until you finish a long rest, at which point it vanishes. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum of once. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Okay. Now, the way it used the previous iteration of it was basically the same, except the item only lasted for an hour. And I literally said when we talked about it, why is Wizards afraid of letting things last until long rest? So I'm glad they listened to me on that one. But it's a bespoke list of things from the player's handbook in the adventurer items or general items or whatever it's called list. Anyone who's played D&D for, I don't know, 2 fucking sessions knows that list has no rules and no descriptions, and there's nothing particularly useful in anything in there, because 90% of the shit that's in there, you're not actually really going to use in a 5e campaign, because that's just not the kind of game we're playing. 5e is not the dungeon fucker game where I have no abilities and I need to use every little thing to my advantage. If we were playing 2nd edition, this list would be a lot more useful, but we're not. We're playing 5th edition. I don't need a fucking shovel. I have the ability to punch through walls or whatever, because, I don't know, barbarian sonic dick punch or whatever. Who knows? I'm sure there's a power to punch through walls.
And here's the thing. Some of it is useful, right? The ball bearings, you can use those for ammunition. Oil, that's useful.
But that's you extrapolating ideas.
Well, like, just on the basic level, like a crowbar, that has a use, right? I mean, like, you can break open doors and shit.
The game doesn't tell you how to do any of that shit. You're extrapolating those concepts, right?
Well, no,
that's what I'm saying.
Some of it, right? Like caltrops, those actually do have rules.
That has a little bit of rules, yes. A couple of them do.
The ball bearings have rules. Oil has rules. The stuff that has rules or stipulations like, oh, we need, we're trying to rob the dragon horde. We need money. Okay, well, we need sacks to like put the gold in because a GM could be a stickler for that. Those things are useful.
To a point.
Block and tackle.
Look it.
A jug. Bin. Fucking parchment. Bin. Like,
I think but what I was gonna say is the easiest way to make this ability not just hot worthless garbage is, instead of giving a bespoke list, say the Artificer can conjure up, make it the MacGyver ability. Because I think I even said that in the first update on the Artificer, I want them to have the MacGyver thing where they can whip up anything they need. This ability should be that, and you just give a couple of stipulations like, you can whip up a thing you need, the thing can only be around this size, and your GM has to, go back and forth with you whether it works or not. Like, if this was in Stars Without Number, this ability, since we just talked about it. What, the wording would be, when you're in a tight bind, you have the ability to like conjure up a useful item relevant to your situation based on the materials in the area around you. It is up to the GM and you what constitutes useful materials and what constitutes a reasonable item that you could make, right? Like that is how it'd be worded. But 5e doesn't do that. So they try to give you the MacGyver ability, but they're too scared to give you and the GM the room to have that back and forth about like, how should this work? Like they don't want to give you that wiggle room within the rule itself. They give you the wiggle room when you move beyond the rules. Again, I'm just sort of reiterating what we said with Stars Without Number, but they don't want to give you the wiggle room within the rule. So instead you get a list of items, several of which are useless and some of which are useful, but only in specific ways. And so it's like, I get what they're trying to do, but you just basically they made something where they tried to please everyone and it pleased no one. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
It's just boring now. You made it generic, so it's boring.
Yeah,
that's the first ability.
It's the first ability. The infuse magic items.
Replicate magic items.
No, but all of the items that used to be infusions have now been added to the replicate list.
As magic items, yeah.
As magic items, yeah. So we were saying that was likely going to be the case coming on, and we were right about that, so that's cool. They did add a new tool. They were already
there. They might have added a couple more, but they were already there.
No, they weren't. They said that they were. They said that you could replicate them, but they weren't in the list. That's the only difference.
Yes, they were.
I checked. They weren't.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean by that? Wait.
So
what?
like manifold tool, repeating shot, returning shot. It literally says appears in this UA. They were not there previously. They weren't like they existed. They were at the back of the sheet, at the back of the
Oh, but they weren't in the table, is what you're saying.
They weren't in the table. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I get. Yes.
Worth mentioning, not anything specific, but it's worth mentioning.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. I was like, they were definitely in the PDF. I remember looking at them. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, they were in the PDF. We have a new item called the Manifold tool, which may or may not be replacing the all-purpose tool based on its description. They seem to do the same thing.
There's also a slight adjustment to the table. You can now use a wand or weapon created by the replicate magic item feature as a spellcasting focus, which is good. I like that.
Yes, very good.
It's a nice little tip. Other than that, though, it's the same.
Yeah, the magic item tinker now lets you recharge items with spell slots and transform magic items into other magic items. We're not really sure how much, or I didn't actually notice how much, but it's a thing you can do now, so that's cool.
I mean, anything that has charges, you can like recharge it. So like a wand of fireball has 6 charges or whatever. You can actually recharge the wand. And then the transmute is just as a magic item, you touch one magic item as a magic action, you touch one magic item within 5 feet of yourself that you created with the replicate magic item and transform it into a different magic item. The resulting item must be based on an item magic plan that you know. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. So you could change what it is. Again, why are you only, and I know we had this argument before. I'm not trying to restart this argument. I'm just going to say I still think you're wrong, but it's fine. Much like the drain magic item ability, why can I only use this on items that I created with the replicate magic item ability? Why can I not find a wand of fireballs and turn it into something else from my magic item replication tables? Right? Like,
so that I don't actually 100% disagree with you with. I don't think that's necessarily wrong, because that you can still change it back. That's fine.
No, you can't change it back if it's not on your. So like, if you got a magic item that was not something particularly useful to you, you could change it into a wand of the war mage, but you might not be able to change it back because it has to be on your replication list to change it back and forth. But still, I would like the option, if I pick up Boots of Elvenkind and I don't give a shit about them, but a Wand of the War Mage would be useful, let me turn them into a Wand of the War Mage.
I see. We are in fact back at square one. It's fine.
I know we're back at square one because you're going to be like, well, it's an inefficient use, but I still want the option. Just let me do it for funsies. I don't care if it's efficient or not.
Fair enough. Look, we can disagree. It's all cool.
I want to win this argument.
You won't, but it's okay.
Say in the comments if you're on my team or Isaiah's team.
Look, the whole world could disagree with me. You know that that's not going to change my opinions.
No, but I'll feel validated, and that's all that matters.
Fair enough, I guess. I can't argue with that. After that, we have... oh, yeah. Actually, I do like this one quite a bit. One of the capstones for Soul of Artifice, the magical guidance ability, is... No,
the capstone.
Well, it's half of it.
I know, but it's the Artificer caps. No, they changed both parts of it because cheat death is different now.
Oh, too. Right. Yeah, so cheat death is cool now. You basically can turn off as many items as you want that you created with your replicate magic item feature. Disintegrate, fair enough. They disintegrate, and you get a number of hit points equal to 20 times the number of magic items destroyed. So
which makes this more useful.
Yeah, potentially a fuck ton of health.
Yeah, I mean, you could ditch every single one of your magic items and come back with... Math is hard. 120 HP.
Yeah. Now, the one that I really care about, the magical guidance, because this was straight fucking basura in the last Artificer, is now, whenever you use your Flash of Genius and the affected ability check or saving throw still fails, the use of that Flash of Genius isn't expended if you have attunement to at least one magic item.
So, basically always.
Yes, basically always.
Now, the way it worked before, just for context, well, you have attunement to at least one magic item. You can add a D6 to any ability check you make. You can decide to add the D6 after rolling a D20. And you can use this benefit only once per turn.
Yes.
Yeah, this is definitely better to save your Flash of Geniuses. I still don't love it, but it's better.
No, look, I think it was perfect the way it was previously. Was it strong? Yes. Arguably too strong? Yes. It was a capstone. Who gives a fuck? But compared to what we had before, just the singular D6 hashtag Master of Combat, nah, get that. That was dog shit.
You should just get It's a Capstone, Who Gives a Fuck tattooed on your chest.
I might just. I'm way more likely to get Master of Combat.
That one too.
And that one's too funny. Yeah, I mean, look, I like it. It's better. It's way better. It's still a little frustrating. I think this is one of the things that frustrates me about. I just don't understand.
I'm gonna be honest. Ignoring the mechanical design of it, because as I've said many times, like, what is mechanically powerful or not, I don't fucking care. Not verisimilitude. The mouthfeel, the gameplay feel, the fictional, the story feel of this ability is so just not Artificer-y to me. Like, I don't understand why the Artificer can do the barbarian thing where I just like ignore dying. Nothing about every other thing about the theme of the class has nothing to do with this, and I don't understand why this is their capstone, and it just feels thematically, fictionally, story-wise off base. And well,
so here's the thing.
It still does.
I didn't think it felt off base in its original iteration. I didn't think that at all.
But it was still I ignore death.
No, but no. Because here's the thing. There is this is a big thing in things like anime and specifically mecha, where your machine is breaking down, but you haven't given up yet, right? This is the end of Gurren Lagann, where each of the versions of Gurren Lagann get destroyed, but he's still fighting on. That's a big thing. Yeah, I think it works really well. This is the fucking the Fate Roaya shield layers breaking. It's a cool concept, and I think it works. It's just,
that's not what Artificer is, though.
But you are the magic item tinkerer guy. So the fact that you're sacrificing the items that you made that you care about, this thing that's important to you to stay alive, to keep fighting on. I think that's thematic. At least for me, that's how I think of Artificers. I didn't get to do it as Django because I was a fucking brick shit house.
Yeah, no.
But okay. I would have done it with Django, and I would have done it in a way that because he's a weird robot man, his systems are failing one by one, but he's not giving up yet. So it can work.
That works for Django in particular because of the theming of that character. I can understand it, but I feel again, this magic, this engineer dude, not dying because cool and because my gun disintegrated, my magic wand disintegrated. It just doesn't. It just doesn't work. I don't know. I almost want it to be like you build. Maybe it's just the way it's phrased or something. Like if it said like you build a magical barrier item based on your magical, like, I don't know. It just doesn't. I could theme it to make sense. Obviously I could flavor it, but man, I just don't. It doesn't invoke anything for me story wise. There's no vibe. The vibes are not there.
Fair. Look, it's there for me, but I understand.
Again, compared to cleric or paladin, where it's like, I'm just such a good cleric. I call up my god on speed dial and he dunks on your shit. Or paladin, where I just invoke my holy rage because God, I'm gonna just devote on your ass so hard. Like it, we don't talk about ranger. We just ignore that one. But you know what I'm saying?
Yes. No, I get what you're saying. Like I said, it works for me as it used to be. As it is now, I don't vibe.
If I had the power and I could just walk into the WotC offices and be like, all right, you can fix one thing about 5e. I'm fixing all the capstones. I'm making them all cool.
Oh,
the fighter hitting 4 times is not cool.
I'm just gonna walk in with like a comically large whiteboard and go Ranger with massive fucking underscores.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, yeah.
And then underneath it, I'm just gonna go damage ?
Don't you worry. I'm gonna bust out the Ranger argument again when we get to the cartographer.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, speaking of cartographer, as those of you may have heard, our new subclass for the Artificer is cartographer.
Bro, I just want to be clear.
That sounds kind of boring.
Hold on. I just want to be very clear about something. This is the biggest piece of dog shit I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Whoa. It's not. No.
It's dog shit, brother.
I'm not in love with it.
Dog shit.
I am not in love with it at all. But it does have some good stuff. That being said.
Do you want... let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain what it is and then I go on the rant? Or do you want me to rant? How do you want me to...
No, I'm gonna go on it first. This is my episode. I can't have you take it overall.
Okay. Because I got the rant. The rant is locked and loaded.
First thoughts on cartographer.
It's dog shit.
Teleportation as a mechanic in Dungeons and Dragons has just completely lost its fucking luster. It's just dark vision, utterly sauceless, 0 out of 10 salt too spicy. It's got negative fucking aura. It's not cool anymore. More like fucking niche defection. Shit just don't do.
Negative
Teleporting
riz.
used to be sick as fuck. The fact that you like. Do you remember, turn your mind back, if you will, to 2016 when Horizon Walker first came out and you were like, hey, yo, the fucking Ranger teleports now? That's fucking so dope. That's the coolest shit on the planet. I love the idea that I'm zip, zap, zooping all around the fucking battlefield with my bow. It was so sick. And then they like, a couple more things teleported and you're like, okay. I mean, it's getting more relevant, but like, it's not kind of overshadowing anything. Wizards still do wizard. Conjurer's still doing his thing. And now every single fucking class in this fucking game can teleport. And I really don't get it. Like I said, it's just lost all its sauce. It's got negative riz. It just doesn't feel cool anymore. And I really feel bad because that lady on the UA Mackenzie seems like a really nice person. And I really don't like shitting on work people worked hard on.
No, okay.
But it's just boring.
It's just boring, dude. It's so boring.
It's boring as
I do want to point out though, Mackenzie who Darmit, she has a complicated last name. I can't blank on her. I don't actually think she's I bet you she is a good designer and is being hampered by, I was right, Mackenzie Darmus. She is being hampered by the higher ups. I feel this in my bones. In the same way that I think James Wyatt, who is the Draconomicon guy, who we know knows what he's doing, is being hampered by someone. I don't even know who at this point.
Yes, and like it's this thing that we're like, you and I are artists. We're classically trained artists. There is this, like, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth when you just shit on someone's work, especially if they care about it. If they tried hard, even if they were limited, if they were fucked, doesn't matter.
I'm not even really shitting on her, is the thing.
No, I know. We're shitting on the work, but like,
I'm shitting on wizards and their bullshit.
What I'm trying to say is, is that anything we say has no reflection on the people who created this work. But the fact of the matter is that as it appears, it just doesn't fucking work. It doesn't feel cool. It doesn't feel evocative. It doesn't make you want to run it. There's one, count them, one super fucking sick ability for Cartographer, and we're about to talk about it because it's its first ability. To that point,
I think I know exactly what's going on here, and I will go on the rant, but let's explain what it is first so my rant has context. But I think I do know exactly what's going on here. And so, it's kind of similar, hilariously, it's kind of similar to the Ranger problem. And I know that sounds crazy.
No. I know exactly what you're talking about.
You might know where I'm going with this. Yeah.
Yeah. So to explain what's going on is 90% of the Cartographer's abilities
is teleportation.
Don't actually have anything to do with maps. They have to do with teleportation. The Cartographer is just the teleport artificer. That's what it does well. That's what 90% of its kit does. It just teleports. If you need to be on the map and you don't want to get whacked by an op attack, you're gonna use the fucking Cartographer. Now they have some cooler background stuff, like, you know, their first ability, the Adventures Atlas, is dope as fuck. I love that. And I fucking wish that had they just really doubled down on the maps and scrolls, the stuff that they talk about at level 3, because, you know, like every other Artificer, this one has special abilities to craft a certain item, right? Artificer has armor, Artillerist has weapons, so on and so forth, right? This one specifically is spell scrolls. And you're like, oh, that's cool. That's neat as fuck. That, you know, do they get any special abilities to maybe overcome the class and spell restrictions for spell scrolls? No. They can just make them faster.
Perhaps so that's pretty sauceless. We should go through the abilities.
No, I will. That's literally the first ability, though. Like, straight up.
Yeah, so to explain what Isaiah is going off about here, you gain proficiency with calligrapher supplies and cartographer tools. If you already have one of these proficiencies, you gain another one. In addition, when you scribe a spell scroll using the crafting rules, the amount of time required is halved. That's what he's talking about.
Bro, real quick, I genuinely, I think it's crazy that they're trying to give calligrapher's tools some relevance. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
There's literally a joke in the D&D, in the D&D space, that calligrapher's tools is the best item, even though it does nothing. It is a worthless fucking
I mean, they did give
tool.
all of the artisan tools specific bespoke rules in the player's handbook now. So they are all sort of kind of more useful, but again, because D&D is afraid of giving players any kind of fictional wiggle room, they are very tight on what they can do.
What exactly does the fucking calligrapher's tools do?
Oh, why'd you ask me that? I gotta grab my book, so please hold.
Fair enough. While you do that, I'm gonna keep going off. So its level 3 ability is called Adventurer's Atlas, and it reads as follows. Before I do that, so cartographer spells actually pretty solid. Let me talk about that, because the Adventurer's Atlas is the big one.
Yeah.
The class spells, or the subclass spells, are pretty sick. You get Fairy Fire, Guiding Bolt, and Healing Word at level 3. Locate Object and Mind Spike at 5, Clairvoyance and Haste at 9, Freedom of Movement and Locate Creature at 13, and Scrying and Teleportation Circle at 17. That is a great great spell list. I'd appreciate it.
It's not very combat. Well, the level 3 spells are combat focused, and then the rest of them are less sort of so, which is interesting.
I mean, Haste is good, Mind Spike is good. And
they're less combat focused than a lot of spell lists tend to be. Yeah, for sure. Because I don't need to go on this rant that 5e is too obsessed with combat, but yeah.
Fair. Okay, so while you're doing that, so at level 3, you get the Adventurer's Atlas. It goes as follows. Whenever you finish a long rest while holding cartographer's tools, you can use that tool to create a set of magical maps by touching at least 2 creatures, one of whom can be yourself, up to a maximum of creatures equal to 1 plus your intelligence modifier, minimum of 2. Each target receives a magical map, which is illegible to all others. The map lasts until you die, or use this feature again, at which point any existing maps created by this feature immediately vanish. While carrying the map, the target gains the following: awareness. You get 1d4 added to your initiative rolls, and positioning. The target knows the location of all other map holders that are on the same plane of existence as itself. When casting a spell or creating an effect that requires being able to see the target, a map holder can target another map holder regardless of sight, so long as the other map holder is still within the spell's reach or effective range. That is so fucking cool. I love that ability.
I like the positioning ability. The awareness one is like, whatever, it's fine, I guess.
Well, it would be boring, and it still kind of is, but given how initiative and surprise works, it does actually make a difference. It is thematic.
I don't know if I'd call it thematic. It's a useful ability. I don't know if it's particularly thematic.
Well, thematic being it's harder to be surprised if you know that there are bad guys around you, if you know you're surrounded, right? If you have your UAV online, so to speak.
Sure, if the idea is that the map is like a magical radar, I suppose.
Yeah, well, that's how they talk about it. That's literally what Mackenzie says.
Okay, well, I actually didn't watch the video this time in a rare change of pace.
Fair enough.
For context, calligrapher's supplies. Every artisan tool has a specific thing it does when you use the utilize action on it. So for cartographer supplies, the utilize action, write text with impressive flourishes that guard against forgery, DC 15, and then with it you can craft ink and spell scrolls.
With the calligrapher supplies.
Calligrapher supplies, yes. That's what those ones do.
Okay, so
they all have a specific. They all have a specific thing they are tied to in terms of crafting now.
Okay.
So
I'm happy they do something now.
They're all a little bit more useful than they used to be. Yes.
A little bit.
All right. Anyway, scouting gadgets.
Scouting gadgets, pretty simple. You gain the following options. Boost on your turn. You can expend half your movement to teleport to an unoccupied space you can see within 10 feet of yourself. Can't use this benefit if your speed is 0. And then you get radar. You can cast Fairy Fire without expending a spell slot. You can do so a number of times equal to your intelligence mod, minimum of 1, and you regain all expended use when you finish long rest. Keep track of that teleport thing because it's going to keep fucking coming up.
Side note, what the Fairy Fire thing, I guess the idea is that Fairy Fire is a spell that helps you know where something is, but it still feels kind of funny. Also, calling that teleporting ability boost is weird. Why is it called boost?
I don't know. Did you read it and also go boosto?
I did. Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay. Just checking.
Boosto.
Yeah. Up next, we have Portal Jump.
We just outed ourselves as degenerates.
We did. Well, look, we outed ourselves in Smash or Pass 1 when you were like, unironically, High School D&D is one of the best series.
Oh, I did defend High School D&D.
You did.
Yeah, I did do that.
You did.
That wasn't Smash or Pass, though. That was the Warlock episode because I said that Issei is a Warlock, which I stand by.
Hey, look, I agree. If Issei is a Warlock, Tanya Degurachov is a Cleric.
That one still bugs me, but yes.
I'm still right. That's all that matters.
I get it. I just don't like it.
At level 5, you get Portal Jump. As a bonus action, you can teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space you can see.
Teleport!
You can use this feature a number of times equal to your whatever the fuck. You can also use this ability without expending a use if the destination is within 5 feet of a creature carrying a map you created with your Adventurer's Atlas. Doing so destroys the map. Okay, so I do like that. That's kind of cool. That little ribbon is kind of neat. Doesn't save the ability necessarily, but it is a neat idea.
You can also, I mean, sure, yeah.
It's a good ribbon. I like me a good ribbon ability. It doesn't really help when the action ability...
like, don't get me wrong, I always like ribbons. I will defend that idea.
It's just, I hate, this is gonna be the next meme. It's just sauceless. There's no sauce.
There's just no sauce.
There's just no sauce.
Where's the sauce?
Not here.
It's not even marinara. Not even marinara. Just butter.
Yep. Butter and garlic.
There's no garlic here.
Damn. That's crazy.
Just butter. This is buttered pasta.
Pain. Not even some parsley.
No, bitch.
Oh.
Don't get me wrong. I love me some buttered pasta, but goddamn.
Yeah, but like, I like pasta with a butter sauce. Just throw in a fucking chunk of like some margarine or shit on some spaghetti. Garbaje. Barely Italian food.
Older.
Judging the shit out of you if that's how you eat your pasta.
I mean, sometimes it.
I'm judging you a little bit.
It's okay. I didn't say all the time, but just, sometimes.
Look, if you're struggle busting it, you're like, I just can't be fucked. That's fine. That's one thing.
I mean, yeah.
But much like if you're like, oh, the salt is so spicy, judging you.
The salt is so spicy.
If you're gonna pull a fucking DJ Khaled on the Hot Ones interview and be like, buffalo sauces was too much and that's what made him quit, judging you.
Yo, is that really a thing that happened?
Yeah. I think he made it to the second sauce and was like, you can't do this to people, bro. This is evil. And then Sean Evans was like, I mean, I do this every week, so.
Holy shit. My favorite one is still Idris Elba. I don't remember which one he got to when he was just like, oh, fuck. Oh, my God.
What he just licks his fingers and then starts coughing again.
That shit killed me.
And then threatens to fight the guy who made the wig.
Yes. That was a great one.
Do you fight?
Yeah,
what
that was a good one.
Like, hey, yo, throw them hands, big dog. Like,
throw those hands for making these wigs.
Look, I'm not saying I would square up to Idris Elba, because if I won, he'd sue the shit out of me, and if I lost, I'd have to look at him and think of him in Fast and Furious when he's like, I'm Black Superman, and be like, damn, he really was. But
damn, he really was.
I'd be waking up and be like, damn, bro, he really did do it to me. That's kind of crazy.
Yo, I'd watch a movie where Idris Elba is old Superman.
I'd be down for that.
100%.
But he has to do the Knuckles voice.
Oh, God. The Knuckles voice. Hedgehog is much stronger than the one that I fought previously. Dude, I'm right here.
Dude, in the Knuckles show, when he like really likes matzo ball soup, and I'm like, oh God, I do not like matzo ball soup.
I didn't know that was a thing, but okay.
Apparently it is. He wears his hat from the original movie.
Oh my God.
He's like, I will wear my favorite hat, and it is literally his fucking cowboy hat from the Sonic the Hedgehog movie with Metal Sonic. I love it.
Oh my God.
It even has the 3 like little star badges on the front. It's nuts. God, we're gonna be segueing so hard. At level 9, we have ingenious movement, which everyone say it with me. What do you think this ability does? Because if you were guessing teleport, no, that's exactly what it does. Because when you use your flash of genius, you or a willing creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of you can teleport up to 30 feet into an occupied space as part of the same reaction. A whole lot of teleport. And then finally, at level 15, you have your Superior Atlas, which upgrades your Adventurer's Atlas in the following ways. You get Safe Haven. When a map holder is reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, that character can destroy the map. That creature is then teleported up to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of you or another map holder of its choice and is stabilized. Then you have Unerring Path. If you let one of the map holders of your if you are one of the map holders of your Adventurer's Atlas, you can cast Find the Path without expending a spell slot, without preparing the spell and without needing spell components. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. And then finally, you have Unshakable Mind. While at least one map created with your Adventurer's Atlas still exists, taking damage cannot cause you to lose concentration on your Artificer spells. That second one is cool, and cool, it's thematic as fuck. The last one doesn't make any fucking sense, but at least it's strong. And then the first one lets you teleport.
Not losing concentration is like, what?
Yeah, I guess the idea is that you are just risen with the tism real hard while you're reading that map, and then
I think the idea is, your brain is you're just so fucking big brain. You're so goddamn smart, or something.
It's like, nope, not getting out of this map. You just faces like, you know that scene in El Dorado when it makes like a perfect cutout of Miguel's face in the El Dorado map? It's just that.
Yeah. I do like the cast the Find a Path spell, but like Find a Path is not very useful as a spell, so.
Another one of those spells could be god tier, could be dog shit, depending on your DM. Shit.
All right, can I just go off now and read?
No, we finished, and we're only 45 minutes in, so we got to fill some time somehow. Please go off.
Here's why I think Cartographer is fucking dog shit. All right, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, well, it's bad because Cartographer is a stupid fucking idea for a subclass. Disagree, sir and/or madam, and/or they be. I'm fine. I actually kind of like the idea of a like magical map maker as the the subclass premise. I think there's something there. The problem is that wizards with the reason that this subclass is just the teleporting artificer is because teleportation is a really easy way to be good, quote unquote, at battlefield movement, right? When you're in a fight, if you can teleport a lot, that is an effective way to get around the battlefield because of how the rules of the game works. And 5e has this obsession where every subclass and every class needs to be battlefield efficient and needs to have combat stuff. There is no such thing as a non-combat subclass. That doesn't exist. You cannot, and I will die on this hill, you cannot make a non-combat character in 5e. It doesn't fucking exist because every ability in the game, barring incredibly small niche examples, and I'm pretty sure most of those niche examples have been removed from the 2024 now, yeah. rules. There are no non-combat powers. They don't exist. And the thing that pisses me off is there's so much cool potential for a cartographer subclass to be this like magical navigator type. If the fucking exploration pillar of the game actually fucking mattered, but it doesn't. It doesn't matter. Wizards of the Coast, there's two pillars of this game. It's combat and social combat. Like, there is no exploration pillar in 5e. There barely was in 2014. There is none of it in 2024. There are traveling rules and there are some exploration, I hesitate to say rules, it's more like exploration suggestions, guidance.
Well, they're more like guidelines.
Yeah, they're more like guidelines in the DMG, but this is not a game about exploration. None of your characters, none of the classes, there's no feats, there's no classes, there's no subclasses that focus on this idea of the exploration pillar. Like, there's nothing in the game that does this. If there was an exploration pillar, this would be a really cool subclass. Like, this is the thing, right? This is the problem. Wizards is scared to make, and this is where I say this subclass has the same problem as Ranger. This is where I tie it together. Yep. Wizards is scared of having a class or subclass that doesn't work in every possible campaign. So if you made a cartographer subclass for the Artificer, and then someone's running Waterdeep Dragon Heist, or like Dungeon of the Mad Mage, right? Something where you can't really, either you can map out the area, but it's, it's retroactive, or you can't really map. Like if you're doing Waterdeep Dragon Heist, you're in the city all the time. There isn't really anything to map out, right? It's a city. We know where everything is. The city presumably has a map already. So that subclass would be useless in that kind of campaign. But if you're running Tomb of Annihilation, which has this heavy jungle exploration side of it, part of it, at least for Act 1, somewhat Act 2, then you could have a cartographer subclass that's really good. So like basically you could have a situation where you never want a cartographer on your team unless you're running Tomb of Annihilation, and then everyone's like, somebody has to play a cartographer because of whatever ability, right? And don't get me wrong, 2014 did not have a lot of exploration stuff, but there were nuggets. There were bits and pieces here and there. Ranger had a little bit of the exploration pillar built into it, right? There was stuff about difficult terrain and travel pace and some shit like that. Barbarian, actually, the totem barbarian, one of the totems you could take was the elk, I think it was. And the elk made it so you could travel, overland travel, you could like cut the time in half. So like there were these nuggets along the way. And the reason I say this relates to Ranger is because Ranger has the same problem where they don't want to make Ranger too specific in its flavor and design, because then Ranger can't be useful in every kind of game. But so instead what we got was boring Ranger, and now we have boring cartographer, because they're afraid to make something specific and flavorful. Because at the end of the day, if you want a cool, flavorful class, you have to be specific. You have to have an idea for what makes that class, like what is their thing? What makes them cool? And like, I guess you could say teleporting is a thing, but A, it's a thing that's been done a lot, as Isaiah pointed out. And B, why is the map guy good at teleporting? Like those two, there's not really a lot of congruity between guy who read map can teleport. Like that doesn't really.
Well, so here's the thing. I thought about this. I actually thought about this, and I think I know what their reasoning is.
Okay.
It's fucking fast travel.
Yeah.
Like
sure.
the imagined, the visualized conceit is you can look at your cool adventures atlas and then point on it and then you're there.
Right.
So like, if that is the metric, I can see why you do that. But the thing that's got me fucked, the thing that's absolutely chapping the shit out of my khakis, is that you have two abilities and they're ribbon abilities that actually have anything to do with fucking maps. And there's nothing that has anything to do with spell scrolls.
Well, also, to piggyback off of your, it's about fast travel. It's kind of not about fast travel though, because you can only teleport short distances. If they had an ability where it's like you can point at the map and instantly teleport to that location 3 miles away, then I'd say, yeah, that's kind of like a fast travel idea. I could get behind that, but that's not what they're doing. You can teleport 30 feet, 60 feet, 10 feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're not even really hitting that.
Again, like the thing that really frustrates me, because I when I first heard about this, I was like, oh, that sounds kind of dumb. And not because like cartographer, because I had a feeling, I had a fucking nagging in the back of my head that it maybe didn't turn out exactly the way that I thought it would, but like it was going to go along those lines of like, this really isn't going to have anything to do with actually making maps, because how could you do that in D&D?
Yeah. And well, that's what I'm saying. They're afraid of the exploration pillar of the game. They're afraid of actually doing something with it because not every campaign is going to use it to its full effect. So they don't put anything in the game to explore that pillar of play. Because they know they can bank on the idea every game is going to have combat because it's fucking D&D. So if we make combat stuff, we're good to go. Not every game is going to have exploration. So if we make exploration stuff, that's not a safe bet. It's literally the Ranger problem. It is the Ranger problem all over again. And it's just, they made a generic, what they're trying to do here is making a generic, usable in any kind of campaign subclass so that someone wants to be a cartographer and they can live out, I like the idea of playing a cartographer guy. That's really cool. And then even though you're playing Waterdeep Dragon Heist, the person could still play a cartographer. Here's the problem they're not accounting for. That person who wants to play a cartographer, they're going to play this subclass in Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and they're just going to be disappointed because it doesn't actually feel like a cartographer. So instead of disappointing them one way, you're just going to disappoint them a different way. That's really all that's happening.
Yeah.
Right? They're just going to be sad because it's not really about making maps. Instead of being, because in scenario A, they're sad they can't play the cartographer because the campaign they're in is Waterdeep Dragon Heist. In scenario B, they're sad because they play the cartographer they want to play, but then they realize it's not actually about making maps, so they're not really getting what they wanted thematically and fictionally.
Right.
And they have to do all this extra work to try and somehow justify how it's about map making and all this other crap, which is what people often end up doing. Wizards just put abilities in the game that aren't going to work for every campaign. It's okay. They can exist. You did it before. Again, there was not that many of them in 2014, but there were a few. They did exist. And now we have none.
Yep.
I just hate it. I just hate the over genericizing.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's really frustrating. The thing that frustrates me is you can see you can see the intent. You can see, you're like, oh, the Adventures Atlas? Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, that's like all right, maybe there's something here. And then there's a hard left pivot. And then you go, wait.
Yeah, well, because they're like, we have to give them at least one ability that's on theme.
Exactly. But like I think that ultimately, like I was saying before, that's the thing that frustrates me the most, is that you brought up an idea and everyone went, no, that's going to be dumb. And then the first ability, you're like, oh, maybe not. Hold on. Pause.
And then never mind.
Maybe dope. And then everything after that until the capstone, and only one, arguably two of those pieces of the capstone, you're like, this isn't cartographer though. This has none of this has anything to do with maps. And again, and I just brought this up. If spell scrolls, what if, how sick would this be if you could take a spell scroll and you could take your Adventures Atlas, and let's say you had like a scroll of Fireball, and you could place it on your Atlas and then have like a fucking like RTS view of the fucking map and make landmines with your spells. Right? That would be sick as fuck. And you could do that with like non-flying things. Let's say there's like a big fucking ravine. You could use something like Create Stone, and you could just draw a bridge on your map and it would make a bridge.
Yeah, see, that would be like more on theme. Like creating something off the map, like drawing something onto the map and then it comes into reality or something. And that's not even necessarily the direction I would go with it, but there's lots of directions you could potentially go with it. But again, the problem becomes a lot of those directions that would make it cool are not going to work in every campaign. And that's the thing they're afraid of.
Yeah.
I wish I could like sit down at the offices and be like, why? Why so scared? What's going on? But
it really is the what's going on, because it's like we've praised fucking 5th edition plenty of times. The classes,
I have lots of good things to say,
are great. A lot of the design ideas are great. Their potential is there, and that's the most annoying thing, is you can see it. It's like watching a friend or a family member who you know has a fuck ton of potential, and they keep blowing it on really dumb shit.
Yeah. Yes.
It's literally that. Because you like it literally, it's the not gonna lie, they had us in the first half. Like
yeah, that's the first half. I ain't gonna lie. Although, side note, I will say the main thing that I've been praising 5e24 for has been organization, and that ball kind of got dropped with the monster manual.
Oh, did it? Why?
Listen, it's a little too much to go into right now, but there are some confusing organization choices with the monster manual that I just don't understand.
God damn it.
Yeah, but whatever. They're not like end of the world type thing. It's just stupid shit.
Oh, God damn it.
To give you an example, you know how they were like, we're going to make the whole thing alphabetical?
Yeah.
Right? So that was like half true.
Oh.
So like all of the slod are under S for slodai, which is what they were doing before, and they said they wanted to avoid. And all of the myconids are under M for myconid whatever. So, yeah. Anyway.
Wonderful.
Yeah, weird choice.
Magical, really.
Weird choice. Also, Ancient Green Dragon is under G, not A.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Well, so you know what I wanted? What I wanted was, and maybe, you know, this is not as beginner friendly, but I don't care. If I was designing it, this is how I want to do it. Is the same thing you do with spell slots. Give me each monster type and then A to Z that monster type.
Yeah. No. I think that is beginner. No, but you say that's not beginner. That's exactly what I thought. I said, do it by monster type and then alphabetical within the monster typing. So aberrations, all of the aberrations by alphabetical, and then it would be beasts, all of the beasts alphabetical, right? Constructs, because you organize the types alphabetically, and then you organize the monsters within the type alphabetically. I think that would be perfectly fine for a new player experience, because when you're a new player, you often are, when you're sussing out monsters, you often start by type. You're like, okay, I want a zombie type thing. I want an undead type character. I'm going to look at the undead monsters. Okay. I want something that kind of is like a dragon. Okay. I'm going to look at dragon. I want something that's like a holy angel-ish character. Okay. I'm going to look at celestials. Like, you do that. That is what monster typing is for. So I think it would be perfectly fine from a new player standpoint. And I don't know why they didn't do that.
Yeah, not 100% sure either.
But anyway, this is not about the monster manual.
No, and I mean that's kind of all I had to say about Cartographer. It kind of let me down.
Oh yeah, it's a big letdown. It misses the mark.
Teleport.
It is also especially it is extra funny the fact that they specifically went with teleporting after people keep memeing on how many things are the teleporty guy.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally just got a teleporty guy barbarian too.
Hit.
Half of the world tree is basically that.
Uh-huh. Every Fae character is a teleporter.
Yep.
I don't know.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
The meme lives on.
It really do. And I wish it didn't. After this, we got the dragon marks. I'm going to be honest. Do you give a fuck about the dragon marks?
I mean, I don't know a ton about Eberron. Well, before we, worth pointing out, we do still have the magic items and stuff listed, but they're the same as they were before, so nothing new there. The same as they were in the previous, same as they were in the previous Unearthed Arcana.
Yes, like I said, the only new one we get is the Manifold tool, which again it's basically just the all-purpose tool that we've already had, except it doesn't give you pluses to your.
Yeah, saves. It's a level 0 it's a level 0 all-purpose tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the dragon marked houses thing. I find Eberron intriguing, but I'm not deep in the Eberron sauce, right? So I don't know a ton. I know that the dragon mark houses are effectively like noble houses.
Yeah.
And I understand that some people, I do like the idea of this feat from your noble house that gives you specific spells and powers. Like, that's fun. And there's a bunch of, there's, what is it? Detection. There's mark of detection, finding, handling, healing, hospitality, making, passage, scribing, sentinel, shadow, storm, and warding. Cool with that. I like that there's the potent, all of these, sorry, we didn't explain. All of these dragon marks are feats that you take.
Yes, they used to be a race that you would pick.
Yes.
Now they're feats that you pick at character creation.
Yeah, so that's the weirdness. They used to be based on they used to be a species based thing, because the idea is that you're born into a dragon marked house. You can't acquire a dragon mark, right? It's a birthright thing. But they're feats now, and there's been some contention over that because lore-wise, them being feats sort of maybe doesn't make a lot of sense, is my understanding, because they're tied to your family lineage.
Yes.
So them being feats is very weird. And this document doesn't actually say if they're origin feats or not. They call them dragon mark feats. And we don't know what that means because we don't have the Eberron book yet.
Right.
So, because we have we have level 1 feats in 2024, but they're called origin feats. Dragon mark as a category we have origin feats, general feats, and epic boons, right? Mm-hmm. So all of the dragon marks have the greater version in this document, and the greater version is, basically an upgrade of the existing one. I think, but the prerequisite is you have to have, so like if you take the greater mark of detection at level 4, you have to have the mark of detection already, which presumably means you're getting them at level 1. But they don't call them origin feats, they call them dragon mark feats, which is a new category. So we don't actually know how the fuck these are going to work. right?
Definitely gonna need some clarification on that.
Yeah, unclear. All of the greater ones give you an ASI, and they give you improvements on the existing ability. So, I guess I'll just pick one to explain it really quick. So, like the Mark of Healing, you get medical intuition when you make an intelligence, herbalism, or wisdom medicine check. You roll a d4 and add that number rolled to your ability check. I think basically all of them have some kind of add a d4 onto something you do type ability. Healing Touch. You always have the Cure Wounds spell prepared. You can cast it once without a slot. You regain the ability to cast this way when you finish a long rest. You can also use your spell slots. When you reach 3rd level, you also have the Lesser Resto spell. And then Spells of the Mark. If you have the spellcasting or pact magic feature, the Spells of the Mark of Healing spells table are added to your feature spell list. And then so there's a extra spell list you get for that mark. And then you take the greater version of that. So if I can very quickly scroll and find the greater Mark of Healing. You get increase one ability score by 1 to a max of 20. When you use your medical intuition benefit or your Mark of Healing feat, you can roll a d6 instead of a d4. And when you cast Cure Wounds and roll dice to determine the number of hit points restored, you may treat any 1 or a 2 as a 3. So it takes the initial version and upgrades it. We know how the greater versions are going to work. We don't know how the initial versions are going to work. And then there's also what I was going to say before. I do like that there's the potent Dragon Mark feat, which is just like you just upgrade whatever you want, basically.
Yeah, you just get juiced.
You just take you increase the spellcasting ability score used by your Dragon Mark feat by 1 to a max of 20. You always have the spells in your Dragon Mark feat spells of the mark list, if any, prepared. You have 1 spell slot to cast the spells granted by your Dragon Mark feat. This spell's level is only 1/2 of your level to maximum 5, blah, blah, blah. Basically, you get some extra shit if you choose the greater mark option. And then there's an epic boon one, which is the Boon of Sybaris. You get an extra spell based on which mark you have. I don't know what the fuck the Boon of Sybaris is lore-wise, but I assume that makes sense to Eberron stuff.
Likely, yeah.
So like they're interesting. We have so little information on how they're actually going to work in this document. It's just the feats themselves that I don't know what to say other than what
I don't
I've
really
just
have
said.
much. I mean, like, here's the thing. We could go through and explain what all these feats do, but there's 28 of them, and they pretty much all follow a very similar pattern.
They have a system.
Yeah, you have one. You can make 1d4 to a specific check or 2 that you have proficiency in. You can cast whatever spell it offers you at, for the first time.
It gives you a
spell
table
slot. And when you reach level 3, you get another spell, and each one comes with a small spell list. There's about half of them are those, and then the other ones sort of exist to change them in some way. Frankly, I don't think they're super worth going through. I'm not really interested in doing it. The thing that I really wanted to talk about was Artificer, and we've sort of done,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I know that there is the bit of the contention to the people who are major Eberron heads that making them feats they think is a bad idea, but because we don't actually know how they're going to work as feats, I can't say whether it's a bad idea or not.
Yeah, we can really only speculate, and I don't think I have enough energy and information to do so.
Yeah, I don't have enough give a fuck to speculate, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yes, like I said, I know kind of what the Dragon Marks are. They're a cool idea. Good that they're being... I'm intrigued by what this new Eberron book is going to be, because they've said some interesting stuff about the Eberron book, such as it's going to be different than your usual release. They said it's going to be like a different page count and at a different price point than usual, which is intriguing. And I think it's cool that we're getting a reprint of Eberron stuff in 2024, because it means, we're still paying attention to it and, not ignoring it as a setting, because it is one of the more popular D&D settings. But yeah, I don't have a lot to say about the feats in particular other than they're cool.
I mean, feat's cool.
I do also like that it specifies because the feats have a prerequisite, and it says for all of the initial feats, like the standard marks, it says prerequisite Eberron campaign. Can't have another dragon mark feat. So, motherfucker, you can't take these if you're not in an Eberron campaign.
Actually, yeah, pause. I do like that. I like that they're putting their foot down.
Putting their foot down, yeah.
It's funny. I don't like when they take the freedoms away, but I like when they put their foot down. There's two separate things, right? Like what Artificer's level 1 ability used to be, I think they took freedoms away. They took like your ability to use your imagination and sort of and extrapolate on things. That I don't like. But making the DM's life easier now that there's 50 something races and species and archetypes and ancestries, and there are how many iterations or super specific, super niche subclasses that don't work outside of their like specific settings.
Their intended
I think it's
setting.
fine to put your foot down sometimes.
Well, that's the thing about putting your foot down is like the declarative statement informs the world. It tells you what you want out of that style of game, right? It's better to be firm to get like the point that by saying you have to use these in Eberron campaign, you're saying these are a specific thing to this specific setting. They're not intended to be just generic fantasy Forgotten Realms nonsense. It makes them cooler. It makes you more intrigued because then you go, why do they have to be in an Eberron campaign, right? That's interesting. Why is that a rule? And granted, this is the beauty of tabletop. You can look at that and go, I understand that, but I have a really cool idea for why my character might have this dragon mark thing. And the GM goes, okay, tell me. And then the player explains it. And the GM goes, you're right. That is a cool idea. Sure, we'll let you have one of the dragon marks, even though we're not doing Eberron, right? Like you always have that wiggle room. It could also come from the other direction. The GM could say, we're not playing Eberron, but I like the dragon mark houses. So I'm going to put those in my setting. And then so you guys can take the dragon mark houses because I've adapted them to my setting. Like that wiggle room is always present. So putting your foot down it's not like a video game where when you put your foot down, you literally have no other choice because it's a video game. You have to just do what the developers give you. It's a tabletop game. You can control it and you can make it as malleable as you want. We're getting into the weird design philosophy space now.
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts about Cartographer? Anything? Any finishing thoughts?
I mean, Cartographer, no. I said my piece is dog shit. I don't like it. I'm disappointed in how generic it is. I would like it to change because this is an Unearthed Arcana, but it's not. I don't think it's not going to change enough for me to care.
Yeah, not drastically enough. I don't think it's possible, and they're likely already iterating on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a survey for this, and I'm sure you can say your piece, and like there will be some changes after people say their piece, but I would redesign it literally from the ground up, so that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would literally only keep the first and last ability.
Pretty much, yeah. And only part of the first and last ability.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even the whole thing. In terms of Artificer broadly, I mean, it's fine. They haven't fucked with it very much. I will say, James Hayek on the Eldritch Lorecast had a really good point. He's like, he basically was like, Artificer just doesn't work in 5th edition because the mechanical basis and game design that Artificer was built upon in 3rd edition does not exist in 5th edition, and it would require a huge addition to the game overall to make Artificer really feel like it works. So the version we have now is just a very watered down, simplified version of what it should be, and it's always gonna feel not 100% like what you want. And what he's talking about is 3rd edition had really robust magic item crafting rules, and Artificer interacted with those crafting rules, and that was the thing that made them cool. 5e doesn't have that. They have very, very simple light crafting rules, and 5e Artificer interacts with it a little bit, but not enough for you to really feel that vibe, you know?
Yeah.
I don't even want Artificer to be Artificer. I want Artificer to be an engineer, not a magic item guy. But, you know, I don't think we're ever getting that.
Probably
but
not,
it exists in Pathfinder.
True.
So, you know, I still like Artificer in 5th edition. Like, there's still cool stuff to it. I don't despise it, but like if I were to play an Artificer, I think I would really go out of my way to make sure the flavor is really hitting, you know, like really emphasize like, no, I'm not casting fireball. I'm throwing a grenade. That is the fireball spell, right? I would really like go out of my way to do that kind of shit.
Pull out a fucking RPG.
Basically, yeah. I would make a big deal about that personally, but you know, that's a me thing. Oh, yeah, I mean, I say that you basically did the same thing too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, literally that, right? Like Django's shatter was just a fucking like a howitzer that like, comes out of his shoulder or something.
Yeah. So, Artificer's it's a bit of a weird class.
It's a weird class. It's in a bit of a weird spot. And
it is
like one of those things where both of us would love to be wrong. I would love for the next version of Cartographer to be sick as fuck. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the version of Cartographer I want is going to be based around the exploration aspect of the game, and they're just too scared to do that. So,
for me, I'm going to be honest. I just want to play Etrian Odyssey in D&D. Like,
that's still kind of around the exploration pillar, though. That's the thing, right?
True,
like,
it is kind of. Yeah.
It is. That's the problem. They're scared.
All right. Yep. You know what, everyone? If you agree with us, or if you don't, and you just want to tell us that we're fucking stupid or something, please, shoot us a follow on the it's not called the Bird app anymore, on Blue Sky. Do the stuff.
It's not called the Bird app. Follow us on Blue Sky. You didn't even. That was a failure on multiple levels.
It's fine. I don't care.
Blue Sky or Twitter is what he was trying to say there.
Yeah. Well, no, not even really. Follow us on social media and do us a favor. Like, share, whatever. I don't know. I'm still mad about it. I ain't fucking teleporting sauceless. Peace, motherfucker.
Teleporting sauceless.